Have you ever dreamed of some amazing, exotic getaway, but then reality hits? The time, the money, the hassle of travel. So often, we end up settling for simulations, right? A little taste of the real thing, but made easy and accessible. Well, today, we're going to dive into a really fascinating case study that looks at just how far these simulated experiences can go and what they tell us about our own relationship with reality. So let's imagine for a second, you are just craving an escape to nature. You want to get away from the concrete jungle. But a real trip to the mountains or some pristine forest, for a lot of us, that's a once-in-a-lifetime kind of dream. So what if? What if you could get that escape right in your own city? I mean, really picture it. A crystal clear stream full of colorful fish, a giant mountain with a waterfall, and rare animals you've only ever seen in books. It sounds like a super expensive eco tour, doesn't it? But what if I told you it was being sold as a fun, affordable day out for the family? Well, this is exactly where our story kicks off. Okay, so let's head to Vadodara, India, to a fair, or a Melo, called the Royal Melo. Its whole promise is to deliver this perfect green vacation, a little piece of untouched nature conveniently plopped right down in the middle of the city. You see, the appeal of the Royal Melo is just so clear. It's aimed squarely at middle-class families by just getting rid of all the things that make a real exotic holiday so difficult. You don't have to worry about flights or hotels. You just buy an affordable ticket and walk into what looks like a natural paradise. It's built from the ground up to be the perfect, easy-access family outing. So what's it actually like when you get inside? Come on, let's take a little walk through this manufactured world and see exactly what people are experiencing when they step through those gates. The very first thing you run into is this small, totally pristine stream. The water is perfectly clean, which, let's be honest, is a rare sight in a lot of cities, and it's just teeming with these bright, colorful fish. It's picture perfect. And then as you keep going, this huge mountain just appears in front of you, and it's got this incredible waterfall cascading down. This is perfection by design. It's an endless flow that, unlike a real waterfall, is guaranteed to be running for every single person who comes to see it. And next up, of course, is the wildlife. But we're talking about animals like pythons, owls, even hamsters. For people who live in the city, especially kids, these are total novelties. And they're all safely tucked away in cages, offering this totally risk-free peek at what passes for the wild in here. But it's not just the natural stuff. The Royal Melo is a full-on fair. There is an artificial lake, tons of stalls for shopping, amusement park rides, and, this is a big clue, a dedicated selfie point. This blend of nature and commercial fun is really key to figuring out what's going on. All right, so we've seen the spectacle. It's a fun day out, but this is more than just a fair. It's a perfect example of a really powerful idea in our modern world, the simulation. So let's start peeling back the layers and really analyze what this whole experience represents. The French theorist Guy Debord once said that in our modern lives, everything we used to live directly has turned into a spectacle, a representation. We don't just have experiences anymore, we consume images of them. And the Royal Melo, it's like a textbook example of this shift. So what exactly do we mean by simulation here? Well, basically, it's a copy that stands in for the real thing. It takes something complex and maybe a little out of reach, like a real jungle, and replaces it with these easy-to-digest signs and symbols, like an artificial stream and a fake mountain. Now, the philosopher Jean Baudrillard, he took this idea and ran with it. He argued that we've gotten to a point of hyperreality, where the simulation, the copy, doesn't just represent the real thing anymore, it can actually become more exciting, more important than the original. Baudrillard actually laid out 4 stages to explain how this happens. Let's walk through it with our example. First, you have the real thing, an actual, messy, unpredictable jungle. Then you have a faithful copy, like a photo of that jungle. The third stage is pretense, and that's exactly where the Royal Melo is. It's a copy that's so good, it hides the fact that the real thing isn't there. And the final stage? The hyperreal. That's your selfie at the Melo, which gets tons of likes and comments, becoming a social event that is, for a lot of people, way more meaningful than an actual trip to a jungle that nobody saw. So this brings us to a really important question. If what we're consuming is the simulation, then what's the real reason for even going to the Royal Melo? Is it about enjoying nature, or is it about something else entirely? I mean, just think about it for a second. When you see everyone there, phones out, taking pictures, going live on social media, what is their number one goal?
Are they really soaking in the moment, or are they busy creating something? The source author, J.A.H. Katri, just puts it perfectly. Actually seeing the spectacle with your own eyes has become secondary. The main goal, the primary thing, is creating evidence that you were there. The experience just doesn't feel complete until it's been documented and shared with the world. So the real products being made here aren't memories of nature. They're digital assets. We're talking about the photos, the posts, the likes, the comments, all these things that give us a little hit of momentary digital fame and that self-gratification that comes from showing everyone you're having this amazing royal experience. But here's the thing. This perfectly curated, totally postable experience, it comes at a price. The simulation has to be carefully controlled, and that control is everywhere, enforced by these clear physical boundaries that really define your entire visit. The whole illusion is held together by two main boundaries. First, there's a roof over the entire nature part, which is this constant reminder that this world is fake, that it's cut off from the real sky. And then you have ropes and barriers everywhere, physically separating you from the very things you came to look at.
And that's the trade-off, isn't it? In a real stream, you could feel the cold water on your hands. At a real mountain, you might try to climb a little. But here, nope, you can't touch anything. Every single experience is purely visual, totally passive, and perfectly calculated for you to look at and take a picture of, not to actually interact with.
And this all leads us to the fundamental problem with this kind of green vacation. Instead of actually helping people build a real bond with nature, it just turns the entire environment into another product to be consumed. It pushes this idea that nature is something we humans can just create and control whenever we want, and that its main purpose is to be a pretty background for our selfies. At the end of the day, the Royal Melo is an absolute masterclass in pretense. It's a green vacation that works so well precisely because it hides the fact that real accessible nature is missing from many people's lives. It fills that empty space with a perfect, easy, and ultimately hollow copy. And that leaves us with this one final, really nagging question. If the copy is cheaper, more convenient, and gives you better content for social media, have we reached a point where the simulation is actually more desirable than the real thing? When the fake is this good, what does that mean for the future of reality?